Hi friends, I'm Felicia. Welcome back to my channel. Sitting outside again. Yeah, it's a really nice evening, so I thought I would sit outside and film my May wrap-up. Today's June 15th. Have I posted my March or April wrap-up? No. I'm telling you, I cannot make myself sit at my computer anymore and edit videos. Like, it just doesn't happen. But yeah, so I'm going to talk about the books that I read in May because I want to bring my library books back to the library already. I'm sick of them sitting around. First book that I want to talk about is Conductor of Light by Rachel McMillan, and that is book 2.5 in the Herringford and Watts mysteries. So it is a novella, and it's just a fun, mystery. The story is set over just the course of one evening night. So that's fun that it's just like, real time. But yeah, I really liked it. So I have the last book 3 to read, and then I will be done with that series. The next book that I finished is The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain. I almost said The Adventures of Mark Twain. That's not the title. But yeah. So I read that with my book club. I listened to the audio narrated by Elijah Wood. I thought that was like a random choice. I was like, why is Elijah Wood narrating this? But it turns out that he was in a movie of The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, and he played Huckleberry Finn when he was a kid. So I'm like, okay, makes sense. Yeah, thought his narration was good. I actually liked Huckleberry Finn better than Tom Sawyer. I read that with my book club a couple years ago, and I did not enjoy it at all. But Huckleberry Finn I enjoyed a lot more. At first I wasn't really enjoying it, but then I went and read I read the Wikipedia page. And I was kind of like looking up, like, what do people think about this book in terms of historical significance, or like what was Mark Twain thinking when he wrote this? Like, is this supposed to be, like exaggerated commentary, or is it actually how he felt? Because the plot, a big portion of the plot, if you don't know, I mean, it is possible to not know the plots of classics. A big portion of the plot has to do with Huckleberry Finn traveling with an escaped slave, and just the inherent just racism of that, where there's this whole thing where Huckleberry's really struggling with feeling like a bad person, or like he's sinning because he's not turning in this escaped slave. So that's hard to read, in 2021. But I actually had a really interesting discussion with my book club about this. It seems that maybe Mark Twain was commenting on like how society was like during that time, but kind of turning it on its head. The escaped slave, his name is Jim. He is the best character in the book, like the person with the most sense and kindest heart and the most bravery, whereas all these white men that are supposed to be the ones that are more upheld in that society, they're all just ridiculous and dumb, and they do silly things. And yeah, it's just kind of interesting how he wrote it like that. Like, it almost seemed like sarcasm, like everything that Huckleberry Finn was thinking, it was like sarcasm. So maybe that's a way that Mark Twain could have written it, to actually have that book published during that time, is to make it seem like it's kind of like a subversive satire. I don't know. I never studied this book in school, so I didn't get to have those interesting discussions and know all of the history about it, but it's kind of what I deduced from what I was reading. So then, yeah, that once I kind of started thinking about it like that, then I did enjoy it more. I don't know if that was Mark Twain's intent, but it did help me enjoy the book more anyways. It was still hard to hear the N word like 9,000 times. That was not enjoyable, but yeah, so like I do get I do get why this book has stayed a classic for all this time. So the next book that I finished, I left in the house and I don't want to go get it. So that was Bone by Jeff Smith. It's about this big. It is an omnibus graphic novel. We'll have the cover here. And yeah, this is like a fantasy. I don't know what age group it's for, like maybe middle grade, but older people can enjoy it. So I don't know. But yeah, that was a reread for me. I first read it like 10 years ago. And I had been wanting to read it for a while, so I finally read it over the spring, and yeah, it was really good. It's a really fun adventure. There's a quest element and, you know, defeating the evil. So it's just a really fun fantasy graphic novel. Or yeah, series, I guess. I have the omnibus, so it's all of them, but I think there was like 8 or 9 actual volumes in it. So it's quite large. It's 1,300 pages. But yeah, really enjoyed it. Okay. I need to speed this up. So the next book that I finished was Can You Keep a Secret by Sophie Kinsella. So for a while I've been wanting to reread all of Sophie Kinsella's books, and so this is the one that I started it off with, and it was such a fun time to read this book again. Excuse me? What was I saying before I was so rudely interrupted by that very loud plane flying right over my house? Okay, yeah, so I've been reading Sophie Kinsella's books as they've been published for like the last, 17 years. And so a lot of these old ones, like this is her first standalone. I think it was published in 2004. Yeah, 2004. And so I haven't read it basically since then. So I've been wanting to reread them, and I have basically all of her books except the last 2 that came out. So the basic premise of this is that there's a girl named Emma, and she is on a plane back from a very disastrous business trip that she was on, and she kind of botched the meeting that she was at, and so she's feeling really defeated. And then she's on the plane, and the plane goes through some turbulence, and she is a nervous flyer, so she freaks out. She thinks they're going down, and in her panic she starts spilling all of her secrets to the man sitting beside her on the plane. It's just like all of the things that you would never confess to anyone. So like when her coworker annoys her, she pours orange juice into her plant, or like she doesn't like this one thing that her boyfriend thinks that she loves, but like jazz music. Her boyfriend thinks that she loves jazz music and she hates it. So she tells him all of these things, and then she goes to work on the Monday after. She gets back and she realizes that this guy that she was sitting beside on the plane is actually a very important person at her work, and she's going to be starting to work closely with him, so it becomes very awkward and uncomfortable and very hilarious. So yeah, I read this in just a few days. It was such a comforting read to me. Yeah, I really love Sophie Kinsella's books, and so also the nostalgia factor, but I do actually still enjoy this book a lot, so I had a lot of fun with this. I'm really looking forward to reading all of the Sophie Kinsella books again. I'm looking more forward to the standalones than Shopaholic. I think I do tend to like the standalones more, but I do still really like the Shopaholic books. Okay, the next book that I listened to was I listened to The Project by Courtney Summers on audio, and that was pretty much the most boring book that I've read this year, maybe, possibly. Like, I already have forgotten like everything that happens. It was so boring. Like, I don't understand. It's about a girl whose sister joins a cult, basically, and things happen and she begins to believe that her sister is in like actual danger. So she's trying to save her sister from the cult and get her out. There was so much potential in that plot, in that premise, and it just was so boring. Like, nothing happened. I didn't feel like the stakes were high. I didn't feel like there was any real sense of danger. It just felt it was just so dull, and like I've forgotten everything already. But the ending was disappointing, because it didn't feel like it did enough, Like, it just felt like, okay, we gotta be building up to something here, and then it just like it just kind of went like this and then like this. Like, could have gone like this, but no, it just kind of was like this and then at the end. Anyway, so it was really boring. I wouldn't recommend it. Okay, why do I keep sitting outside when there's just so many noises outside? Then, basically over the course of the Victoria Day long weekend in May, I read the Descender graphic novel series. I had read volume 1 previously in the month, and then I read the other 5 over that weekend, so that was a fun time. Okay, so book 1, I'll just show you the covers quick and the titles. So book 1 is Tin Stars. Book 2 is Machine Moon, or volume. Volume 3 is Singularities. Volume 4 is Orbital Mechanics. I love this one. This one's just like whoop. Volume 5 is Rise of the Robots. And then volume 6 is The Machine War. And I just love this art style because it's like this watercolor, like this soft, loose watercolor, and then it's like this intense sci-fi with like a robot war. But yeah, so the basic premise in volume 1 is that robots have attacked humanity. Humanity is spread on many planets besides Earth, and robots have attacked humanity and basically decimated it. And so then after that, robots become illegal. But then our main character, this little gent here, his name is Tim 21. He wakes up 10 years later. He's been stranded on a moon for a decade after this major event happens. And so yeah, then that sets off a chain of events, which takes us through the next, the 6 volumes. So yeah, this is definitely an adult series. There is content in here that makes it very adult, like lots of blood and gore, which is kind of beautiful in the watercolor. Like, I know that sounds sick, but it's true. So there's a lot of blood and gore. There's also a sex scene in volume 4, which was a bit of a surprise to me, but yeah, some language. It's not too bad, but yeah, if you like sci-fi, I would really recommend this series. It's just amazing, and the art style is just like, I can't get over it. I want to like show you a page. It actually is quite quite violent now that I'm flipping through it. It's so pretty in its violence. Oh gosh. Okay, here's a page that I showed one time. I don't think this gives anything away. So like, this is the first page. Like, it's just so beautiful. Look at all the colors. I just love it. Now moving on. I really like that series. Finished. The only maybe mid-rush read that I finished in May. I did start a few more, but I didn't get them finished, but that's okay. I was not putting pressure on myself to do it. So I listened to this on audio, and this is Women Talking by Miriam Toews. So the premise of this book is, it's based on real events that happened in 2008. This is the author's note. Between 2005 and 2009, in a remote Mennonite colony in Bolivia named the Manitoba Colony, after the province in Canada, many girls and women would wake in the morning feeling drowsy and in pain, their bodies bruised and bleeding, having been attacked in the night. The attacks were attributed to ghosts and demons. Some members of the community felt the women were being made to suffer by God or Satan as punishment for their sins. Many accused the women of lying for attention or to cover up adultery. Still others believed everything was the result of wild female imagination. Eventually, it was revealed that 8 men from the colony had been using an animal anesthetic to knock their victims unconscious and rape them. In 2011, these men were convicted in a Bolivian court and received lengthy prison sentences. In 2013, while the convicted men were still in jail, it was reported that similar assaults and other sexual abuses were continuing to take place in the colony. Women Talking is both a reaction through fiction to these true life events and an act of female imagination. This is not an easy book to read, but for me, it really hit me emotionally. Told from the perspective, well, it is written from the perspective of a man on the colony taking the minutes for this meeting between 8 women in the colony. So they are trying to decide now, while the men are either in prison and the rest of the men have gone to bail them out or deal with the situation. So these women are trying to decide what they should do before the men get back. Should they just stay, pretend like it never happened? Should they fight the men and try to assert some sort of, I don't want to say dominance, that's not the right word, but like some sort of demand for value? I don't know how to put it, but or should they leave and start over somewhere else? And so that's kind of what they're trying to figure out, and they're debating it. And the man that is taking the minutes, August, he is kind of an outcast from the colony. He's actually gone to, his family was excommunicated from the colony, and they went to live in England, and now he's come back to the colony many years later. I've tried to talk about this so many times, and I just don't know what to say. This book feels very personal to me, but I have not experienced anything like what these women have experienced. But my background is very adjacent to this. My parents both grew up in Mennonite colonies in Mexico, which is very far away from Bolivia, but the culture in those colonies is very similar. It's kind of a very interesting culture. So yeah, there's Mennonite colonies spread out like in Mexico, Bolivia, Paraguay, kind of all over the place there. Those are the main three countries in Central and South America. And that culture is just very unique. Like, the reason that these women are having a man take the notes is because they are illiterate. They've never learned how to read. So that plays a huge factor into their everyday lives, obviously, but like their religion. So like the only things that they know about God and the Bible are what the men have told them, because they can't read the Bible for themselves. They don't know. And just like all of that has just like tainted their religion, their worldview. And to me, it just felt so personal, because I know people that think like this. I know just the way that they talk about the men. It's like, I know men like that. I know women that have been affected by this. I know, like, it really hit home for me, because like I know people that have this worldview. I know people that say these things about God that aren't in the Bible, but they have convinced themselves that it is. And it's just so hard to read that, because I know this. And so yeah, that really hit me. Yeah, so like just the discussions about faith and God, and like how women are viewed in this culture as they're just wives. They're not women. They're not valuable on their own. Their only value is what they can provide for the men. And I don't want to say that that's Mennonites everywhere, but there's definitely a history of that, and it's a very entrenched worldview. The plane came back and my battery is low. I forgot what I was saying. Love the writing. I definitely want to try more Miriam Toews, because I feel like now as a 33-year-old, I'm 33, as opposed to 17-year-old me that tried to read her books and didn't really understand anything about the world. I was very naive. I feel like I would enjoy her books a lot more. Enjoy isn't the right word, but like I think this is really worth reading. If you want your heart broken, I guess. Yeah. Oh yeah, I was saying I listened to the audiobook. I thought that was well done. He didn't say every word right, but I'll let it slide. He did pretty good with the pronunciation of the women's names and some of the German words. My favorite food is mentioned in this book, Franike. It's on page, what was it, page 126? I think I was just flipping through and I saw it there. Yeah, Franike. Oh, and Matterslop, that's my other favorite word. That means midday nap. That's literally what it translates to. Anyways, so yeah. Did I enjoy this book? I had a good reading experience, but it broke my heart and I was very sad. So yeah, that's my feelings about that. Definitely put that on your consideration list for next year's maybe Midrash. Okay, moving on. I'll just quickly speed through the next few books. Chris and I have been listening to audiobooks while we put a puzzle together. So we listened to Ayoade on Top, which is written and narrated by Richard Ayoade, who we both are big fans of. We find him very funny. We love his shows. Our dream is for him to be on Taskmaster. That's really what we want in life. Well, what I want. I don't know if Chris is as passionate as me. I really want Richard Ayoade and Miranda Hart to be on Taskmaster. And then I would just simply pass away from joy. Okay, so basically, it's half memoir, stories from his life, but also the overarching plot of it is that he watched the movie View from the Top with Gwyneth Paltrow, and he has written it out, literally just the whole movie, everything that happens, and has written about it as if it's a brilliant movie, a brilliant masterpiece, but like, you know, sarcasm, because it's a pretty bad movie apparently. I really want to watch it now because just the way that he wrote about it, it's so funny. So funny. So if you like, you know, the British humor, I would really recommend it. Especially the audiobook. He says in the audiobook that he would prefer that you read it in print, but like, I just thought it was funny. So yeah. Okay. So then next I read Happily Ever After and Everything in Between by Debbie Tung. This was a gift from my beautiful friend Erin, the bibliotherapist, for my birthday. Thank you again, Erin, for sending this to me. I read this on my birthday and it was just so enjoyable. It's just a collection of like just little one-page comics about relationships and marriage, and it's just so relatable and cute, and I loved it. Okay, then the last book that I finished in May, I should have finished in April. And that was Perelandra by C.S. Lewis. This is book 2 in the Space trilogy, and I was reading it along with Victoria from A Musical Bookworms read along. Okay, those were all the right words. Our main character Ransom is on Venus, and there's like an epic kind of Garden of Eden scenario happening on Venus. So definitely super interesting, lots to think about, very meaty. Did I enjoy this as much as the first book? I'm not sure, but I did really enjoy it, and I think maybe just because it took me longer to read, because I just kept putting it down. Do you mind, Blue Jay? I love Blue Jays though. Okay, so yeah, really enjoyed it. I hope to get to the last book soon. Okay, so those are all of the books that I read in May. I almost said March. So these plus a few more, plus if Bone was here it would be like up till here. So yeah, if you have any thoughts about these books, let me know. It took me about 15 minutes to talk about women talking because I kept getting disrupted by a plane. I hope it's not going to be that long in this video. Okay, but yeah, so let me know if you have any thoughts about those. Let me know what you read in May. I would love to know like what your favorite book of the month was. Please tell me. And yeah, I hope that you're enjoying what you're reading. Thanks for watching, and until next time, so long, thanks for all the fish.